Yeah, it's me. I'm Chris Jenkins. I'm with Charlotte Vibe, and I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel where each and every week I interview players one-on-one. And the cool thing about it is I always say I work for the fans. So I always take questions from you guys, ideas from you all, and I put that into my interviews with these players every week. And something very fun at the end of the interview is I do an activity like Office Olympics, just something really fun. And I don't always win, but that's not the point. Just so you guys can get the chance to see these players as people, not just as guys with helmets on running around on Sundays. It's really cool. So if I have your interest, please click subscribe to my YouTube channel and let me know what you think. What's going on, world? Hope everybody is doing well. Trying to get all of my screens in front of me so I can watch your comments. So sorry I didn't have that ready for you, but we're going to get it up here in a second. Plus, this gives you all a chance to sign on and join me. All right, got it. What's up, B. Evans? Appreciate you liking the intro. There's a better intro coming, more graphics coming, but I ain't going to talk about it. I won't jinx it. Just wait for it and you'll see it. So had to come back on a little later than I wanted to because earlier today I had some breaking news about the Carolina Panthers being in that enhanced COVID testing, which is a quick plug to say this is why you should make sure you subscribe, hit the notification so you can know when I do that. I will continue to go live at, as soon as information comes out and do short videos just to make sure I keep everybody in the loop. So I'm going to go into some more detail about that, as well as the normal things that I go across with the normal updates that you guys are expecting and should be getting every day from me. So let's go ahead and start. Today is Wednesday, October 14th. I'm Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media covering the Carolina Panthers. And today's biggest topic was the COVID thing. But again, first, as usual, I'm going to go over the injury report. And we had quite a bit of people that got banged up this past Sunday. So I'm going to start with that injury report. If I can get my graphics to work right. Here we go. I'm going to get it right. 3, 2, 1, bam! There we go. Injury report. As you know, we got a lot of starters on the defensive side that got banged up this past weekend. So here is the latest for these guys. Brian Burns, he didn't practice with his concussion. Yetur Gross-Matos did not practice due to his ankle. Kawan Short did not practice due to his shoulder. He's actually going to be out for the season. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. Eli Apple, who's a guy that has struggled to really stay healthy all season. He had limited practice with his hamstring, as well as Dante Jackson with his toe, Zach Kerr with his toe, and Curtis Samuel with his knee. All those guys, those last four, were limited participants in practice today. So let me go ahead and talk about Kawan Short, who missed, I believe it was 14 games last year due to a shoulder injury. He talked about how hard that was for him to be out and what he learned, and was really just pushing himself to have a great year this year. And unfortunately, he's going to have that season-ending injury to his shoulder that is going to require surgery. He's going to be out. So in his place, Zach Kerr will step in and pick up the slack. And also talking about guys being out. Christian McCaffrey, as you know, has been out for, this will be his third week. Coach said he went through some tests the other day. Doesn't seem like he is going to be activated as of right now. Emphasis on right now for the game this upcoming Sunday. And you got to think, if he's not activated now, Mike Davis is playing great. I know Christian's probably pushing to come back. But in this case, if he's in that, we got to make it. If there's any kind of it's not crystal clear, I think the right thing to do is to go ahead and keep Christian out for one more week. All right, so let's go ahead into some detail about this COVID. But first, you know what? I tell you, I'm a man of the people, which means I like to answer questions from visitors or fans, whatever. I like to call you guys my friends. So Someone said I need to let them do my track for my channel. You know what? Hey, I'm an easygoing guy. I like spreading love, like being on people's YouTube channels, doing other interviews. So if you want to send me a track, you got some ideas, cjenkins@charlottevibe.com. Go ahead and send it to me, man. If it works, I'll rock with it. So feel free to do that. Somebody said time to trade Kawan short. Yeah, he definitely has some question marks that Marty Herney is going to address because Kawan Short, K1, has an extremely nice contract. And pretty much since having that contract, hadn't been able to do too much. So being a big guy that he is, thinking about how his ability could be affected long term, I feel like you look at him just from a GM standpoint, not as a person, but you look at him from a GM standpoint and you go to think, well, maybe we need to redo his contract and we'll let him go because you're going to be good, you're going to be solid, but you're not going to be that elite guy anymore, which is how we paid you. So, story that I won't get too much into right now, but something to watch out for in the future. I can't talk tonight, man. I get tongue-tied late at night, so I'm sick to trying to do these earlier. Yeah, definitely prefer the hip-hop music for the channel if you want to submit anything that's more appropriate. So, let's talk about Carolina Panthers had to go into this extra precautious injury protocol today due to defensive tackle on the Atlanta Falcons being tested positive for COVID. So I touched on this earlier today about what that means for them. There's been some more details that have come out about that, so I'm going to kind of skim over it but share this with you guys. Again, this is the new procedures that the Carolina Panthers have to go through due to playing a team in which a player just recently tested positive for COVID. So first thing is a visual thing is they now are required to wear a mask or a shield when playing. So what that shield looks like is probably what players are going to go through, but this is what Teddy Bridgewater had on. So he'll have his regular face shield, and then normally from about the nose down, it's open. But now it's just going to be a sheet of plastic that goes across, and it's just going to have holes in it for breathing. So that's what they're going to have to do. Practice or walkthroughs can happen on practice field or in the indoor facility, but all coaches must wear a mask, and all players must either wear that face shield or mask. Players can remove their helmets, but if they do, they got to be at least 6 feet away from another player. Only 10 players may be in the workout room at a time. I mean, weight room specifically, 10 players in the weight room at a time. Only the sustained player activity inside the facility may be medical and rehab. So if you're not in there for medical or rehab, you cannot just be in that area. All players must get their COVID test results from the previous day before anybody is permitted in the facility. And last but not least, players can only be in the locker room for 15 minutes or less with mask worn at all times. So that's a little different because he said it kind of makes the guys have to rush through their shower and getting dressed process. But when asked, what's going to be the biggest annoyance or biggest downside of all this, and I think Matt Rule had the right answer. Say, hey, there's no bad thing or like inconvenience from this because it's about safety. The whole reason that we have to go through these extra steps is about safety. So he's not going to complain, doesn't expect any of his players to complain about all these new things that they have to do because it's basically it's in their best interest for health. So it's just something that you kind of roll with and say, hey, yeah, maybe now because the guys have to eat alone, that's a little bit different, but it's just something that's worth it. Question here, I thought it was impossible for players to get COVID from playing the game. I won't comment on that until you clarify exactly what you're saying there, because you could be making a joke. I'm not sure. Not going to claim to be a doctor, but I also want to go into one other thing that we're going to start talking about here. As long as a team is doing well, I think it's time to get excited about power rankings. The Carolina Panthers at the start of the season, and I think rightfully so, didn't have a lot of expectations nationally about where they could be for a lot of good reasons. New coaches, new scheme, new coordinators, lots of new players. Not even half the guys are here from last year. But I'm going to start bringing this up right now. Carolina Panthers have moved one spot up, and I always like to look at for no reason in particular, the NFL.com power rankings. We are all the way up to number 14. That means we are looked at as about a middle tier team right now. Currently in first place in the NFC South. Got our matchup against the Chicago Bears this Sunday. So that'll be it. That concludes my report for today, Wednesday, October 14th. Again, subscribe. At the least, hit the like button. I appreciate it. And I want to continue to emphasize that I work for my fans, which means you have a question, please submit it to me. You got a question for a player or for a coach, please submit it to me. It's no guarantees that I'll answer, but as long as there's things that make sense, in my opinion, good questions, I'll definitely ask that and report it back to you guys because I like you. All right. That's it for me.